Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Lei, and today we're diving into something that completely changed how I think about success, failure, and pretty much everything in between. It's the 1990s. I'm sitting in a classroom where teachers openly discuss students' IQs like they're sorting us into permanent categories. The smart kids, the average kids, and those who, quote, just aren't cut out for academic work. I watched bright, curious classmates drop out because a test told them they had low IQs. Their parents believed it. Their teachers believed it. And eventually, these kids believed their intelligence was fixed and insufficient. Meanwhile, the so-called geniuses had their own prison. They'd sleep through class to appear effortlessly brilliant, then study frantically at night, terrified of losing their gifted status. Here's the thing that haunts me. We were all living a lie, and that lie is still holding millions of people back today. So what if I told you that everything you believe about intelligence, talent, and ability might be wrong? What if the real difference between people who succeed and those who don't isn't about how smart they are, but about what they believe about being smart? Today, we're exploring Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck's research on mindset, and I promise you, this might be the most important 20 minutes you spend this week. Because by the end of this episode, you'll understand why some people thrive under pressure while others crumble, why talented people sometimes fail while underdogs succeed, and most importantly, how you can shift your own mindset to unlock potential you didn't even know you had. Let's jump in. Dweck's journey started with a simple observation. She noticed that some students absolutely thrived on challenges. Give them a hard problem, and they lit up with excitement. But other students, equally capable, would fall apart at the first sign of difficulty. Same classroom, same teacher, totally different responses. What was going on? Working with her doctoral student Mary Bandura, Dweck had a revelation. There were two fundamentally different ways of understanding ability itself. She called them the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed mindset operates on the belief that your qualities, your intelligence, your personality, your moral character are all carved in stone. You have a certain amount, and that's it. Your job isn't to grow, it's to prove you have enough. Every situation becomes a test. Will I succeed or fail? Will I look smart or dumb? Am I good enough or not? Now contrast that with the growth mindset. This is the belief that your basic qualities can be cultivated through effort, learning, and help from others. Sure, people start with different talents and aptitudes, but everyone can change and grow through dedication. Your true potential, it's unknown and unknowable, impossible to foresee what you might accomplish with years of passion and training. And here's where it gets fascinating. Darwin and Tolstoy were considered ordinary children. Ben Hogan, one of the greatest golfers in history, was completely uncoordinated as a kid. The photographer Cindy Sherman failed her first photography course. The actress Geraldine Page was told to give up acting for lack of talent. So what separated them from everyone else? It wasn't starting talent, it was mindset. It was the belief that they could grow. Now, when you have a fixed mindset, life becomes an endless series of tests. The fixed mindset creates this urgency to prove yourself over and over. You can never just be good enough because every new situation is another chance to fail, another potential verdict on your fundamental worth. The fixed mindset makes people choose looking good over getting better. Now let's talk about where this all started. The IQ test itself was born from conflicting philosophies. Alfred Binet, who invented it, passionately believed in human potential. He wrote, "We must protest and react against this brutal pessimism. With practice, training, and above all method, we manage to increase our attention, our memory, our judgment, and literally to become more intelligent than we were before." But others misused his work. They believed intelligence was innate and unchangeable. They used IQ tests to label and sort people permanently. That's the trap I witnessed in my schools. That's the trap that destroys potential. Today, experts agree it's nature and nurture working together. Robert Sternberg puts it perfectly. The major factor in whether people achieve expertise is not some fixed prior ability, but purposeful engagement. Think about that. Not ability, engagement. Not what you start with, but what you do with it. So let's look at how mindsets play out in the real world. And there's no better place to start than sports, where we love to talk about natural talent. Most people look at Michael Jordan and assume pure natural talent, right? Greatest basketball player of all time. Must have been born with it wrong. Jordan was cut from his high school varsity team. He wasn't recruited by his preferred college. He wasn't drafted by the first two NBA teams that picked at each stage. Someone decided he wasn't good enough. His response? When he got cut from varsity, his mother told him, "Go back and discipline yourself." He left the house at 6 a.m. to practice before school. At North Carolina, he constantly worked on his weaknesses. Even at the height of his fame, his legendary practice sessions continued. His former Bulls assistant coach, John Bach, called him a genius who constantly wants to upgrade his genius. Jordan himself credited his success to mindset. He said, "The mental toughness and the heart are a lot stronger than some of the physical advantages you might have." Now contrast that with John McEnroe. Extraordinary talent, but a fixed mindset. When he performed poorly, he blamed external factors. Little things happened that kept me off my game. He didn't take charge. He made excuses. When he couldn't control his tantrums, he wished someone else would fix it for him. Dweck's research identified 3 key differences between growth and fixed mindset athletes. First, they define success differently. Growth-minded athletes focus on learning and personal best. Mia Hamm said, "If you walk off the field knowing that you gave everything you had, you will always be a winner." Fixed mindset athletes focus on establishing superiority. Second, they view setbacks differently. When Jordan coasted one year and the Bulls were eliminated, he said, "You can't leave and think you can come back and dominate. I will be physically and mentally prepared from now on." They won the next 3 titles. McEnroe? After an embarrassing loss in mixed doubles, he didn't play that format again for 20 years. Third, they take charge differently. Jordan worked harder as he aged, developing new moves to compensate for declining athleticism. McEnroe blamed his shoe when he missed a shot, then threw it and kicked it. See the pattern? It's not about talent. It's about how you respond when talent isn't enough. Now let's move from sports to business, because this is where mindsets can make or break entire companies. Remember Enron? In 2001, it collapsed spectacularly. Malcolm Gladwell traced the disaster to a corporate obsession with talent, a massive, fixed mindset trap. Enron's leaders believed their genius validated everything. Jeff Skilling, described as incandescently brilliant, used his intelligence to intimidate anyone who disagreed wasn't bright enough to get it. He believed Enron could proclaim profits as soon as he had the idea, before generating any actual revenue. Fixed mindset leaders believe they're superior. They need to prove it constantly. They use subordinates to feed their egos, and they'll sacrifice their companies for personal validation. Now contrast that with the growth mindset leaders Jim Collins studied in his research on companies that jumped from mediocrity to excellence. Take Alan Wurtzel of Circuit City. He inherited a company on the verge of bankruptcy. He didn't arrive with all the answers. He said, "I don't know." And then he asked questions. He built a team of people who were smarter than him in specific areas. He cultivated their excellence rather than feeling threatened by it. Result? Circuit City beat the stock market by over 18 times for 15 years. Compare that to Iacocca at Chrysler. After his famous turnaround, he spent his time grooming his fame rather than building the business. He balked at approving new car designs because his underlings might get credit. His need to be the hero overrode his commitment to the company's future. Dweck identified 3 patterns in fixed mindset leaders. First, the genius with 1,000 helpers model. They don't build great teams, just helpers for their brilliant ideas. Second, refusal to look at problems. Kroger faced facts about their obsolete stores and adapted. A&P shut their eyes and failed. Third, cultures of fear and blame. Fixed mindset leaders create environments where people are terrified of mistakes. Growth mindset leaders create cultures of learning. Think about your own workplace. Which type of culture are you in? And more importantly, which type are you creating? Now let's talk about where mindsets hit closest to home. Relationships. People with fixed mindsets approach relationships as another arena to prove their worth. They believe in soulmates. They think great relationships shouldn't require work. This creates destructive patterns. They need constant validation, so any criticism feels like an attack. They blame their partners when problems arise. They feel threatened by a partner's success. Growth mindset people don't believe in fairy tales. They believe in working together to create something meaningful. Dweck says, "To me, the whole point of marriage is to encourage your partner's development and have them encourage yours. How you handle rejection reveals your mindset. Fixed mindset people see it as proof they're not good enough. Growth mindset people ask, what can I learn? What patterns need changing? They can forgive and move forward." But here's where mindsets become truly critical, because we're not just talking about adults anymore. We're talking about how we shape the next generation. Every word and action we use with children sends a message. Either you have permanent traits I'm judging, or you're a developing person I'm committed to helping. Most parents believe praising intelligence builds confidence. Dweck's research absolutely shattered this belief. After 7 experiments with hundreds of children, the findings were crystal clear. Praising children's intelligence harms their motivation and performance. I lived this trap personally. No matter what I achieved, my mother's only response was, "I know you are smart and I educated you well. What did you expect?" She meant it as praise, but it became a prison. If I succeeded at something new, it proved nothing. Just my IQ and her parenting at work. If I failed, it meant I wasn't good enough, and my fragile sense of worth would crumble. So, you know what I did? I stopped trying. Why risk finding out I wasn't as smart as she claimed? The safest path was to stick with what I already knew I could do. My effort became invisible. My growth became irrelevant. All that mattered were the fixed traits she'd assigned me, traits I feared I might not actually possess. This is the damage of intelligence praise. It creates a no-win situation where success validates nothing. It was just your innate ability, and failure devastates everything because it reveals your inadequacy. So what messages should we send instead? Instead of "you're so smart," which teaches kids that if they don't learn quickly, they're not smart, that they shouldn't try anything difficult, that they'd better quit before people see them struggle. Say you worked so hard, which teaches them they can get better through effort, that challenges are opportunities, that it's okay to struggle because that's how you grow. Let me tell you about Marva Collins. She took students other schools had abandoned, kids labeled learning disabled, and taught them Shakespeare. On day 1, she told them, "I'm going to love you. I love you already, and I'm going to love you even when you don't love yourself." Then she taught them hard. Every 4-year-old in her school read by Christmas. Her 3- and 4-year-olds used vocabulary books titled Vocabulary for the High School Student, or Dorothy DeLay, the famous violin teacher. She treated every student, from Itzhak Perlman to complete beginners, with equal respect. When asked why she gave so much time to a student showing little promise, she said, "I think she has something special. It's in her person. There is some kind of dignity." Great teachers set high standards for all students. They believe improvement is always possible. They create safe environments where mistakes are learning opportunities. They focus on effort and strategies, not innate ability. So here's what I want you to take away. As a parent, praise process, effort, and strategies, not traits like intelligence or talent. Model a growth mindset. Let your kids see you struggle and learn. When children fail, help them analyze what to do differently next time. Create an atmosphere where mistakes are valuable. As a teacher, believe in every student's potential. Set high standards and provide support. Give specific, process-focused feedback. Teach kids about brain plasticity, that their brains physically change when they learn, celebrate improvement and effort as much as achievement. Now let's talk about you, because here's the truth. We all have elements of both mindsets. You might have a growth mindset about work, but a fixed mindset about athletics or relationships or public speaking. And that's okay, because change is absolutely possible, but it requires awareness and practice. First, recognize your fixed mindset triggers. Notice when your fixed mindset takes over. Facing a challenge, fixed mindset says, what if I fail? Growth mindset says, this is a chance to learn. Hitting an obstacle. Fixed mindset says, I'm not cut out for this. Growth mindset says, let me try a different approach. Receiving criticism. Fixed mindset says they're attacking me. Growth mindset says this feedback helps me improve. Seeing others succeed. Fixed mindset says they're better than me. Growth mindset says, what can I learn from their success? Here are 5 steps to make the shift. First, accept that you have both mindsets. Notice when fixed mindset thoughts arise. Name them. There's my fixed mindset talking. Second, recognize your triggers. Keep a journal for a week. What situations activate your fixed mindset? Tests, conflicts, new challenges? Third, give your fixed mindset a name. Personify it. When it speaks up, say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I've got this. Fourth, educate your fixed mindset. When it makes you avoid challenges, remind it, challenges are how I grow. When it makes you defensive, tell it, feedback helps me improve. Fifth, take growth mindset action. Accept challenging assignments. Ask for feedback even when it's scary. Admit when you're wrong. Try something you're bad at, just for the learning. Share your mistakes and the lessons you learned. And when change feels hard, some days you'll backslide. That's normal. The fixed mindset will say, see, you're trying to change and failing. Don't listen. This is the fixed mindset protecting itself. Be patient. You're unlearning patterns that took years to establish. The growth mindset isn't a destination, it's a journey. So let me bring this home. You've learned about 2 mindsets and how they shape lives. The question is, now what? If you're struggling at work, share 1 mistake this week and what you learned from it. Volunteer for that challenging project. Ask a talented colleague to mentor you. If your relationships are strained, next time your partner criticizes you, pause before defending. Ask them, help me understand what you're experiencing. If you're a parent, catch yourself praising traits. You're so smart, and shift to praising process. You worked hard on that. If you're a student, stop asking, will this be on the test? Start asking, how can I learn this deeply? Create your learning plan. Focus on what you want to learn, not achieve. Pick 1 specific skill. Not become a great writer, but learn to write engaging introductions. Make it concrete and measurable. Figure out your strategy. How will you practice? Who can help? What resources do you need? Break the skill down into components you can practice separately. Plan for setbacks. Expect them. When you hit a wall, what will you tell yourself? How will you regroup and try again? Measure your progress on process, not just outcomes. Did you practice daily? Try new techniques? Improve compared to last week? Track your effort, your learning, your experiments, not just whether you succeeded. And build your team. Find people who support growth mindset thinking. Share your goals with them. Ask for feedback. Celebrate small wins together. Surround yourself with people who value learning over looking good. So let me leave you with one final question. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Not because you'd magically succeed at everything, but because you stopped seeing failure as a verdict on your worth and started seeing it as information. What challenges would you take on? What conversations would you have? What dreams would you pursue? Maybe you'd start that business you've been thinking about for years. Maybe you'd have that difficult conversation with your partner. Maybe you'd go back to school, change careers, write that book, learn that language, or finally ask for that promotion. Think about what you're not doing right now because you're afraid of failing. What opportunities are you missing because you're protecting your image instead of pursuing your growth? The growth mindset doesn't offer guaranteed success, but it offers guaranteed growth, not protection from failure, but resilience in facing it, not a fixed identity to defend, but an evolving self to develop. Your intelligence isn't carved in stone. Your personality isn't set in cement. Your future isn't predetermined by your past. Every single day, you have a choice. Will you play it safe to protect your ego? Or will you take risks to expand your capabilities? You can change. You can grow. You can become. The question is, will you? If this episode resonated with you, head over to bullishbooks.com. I've got the full article with even more examples and research. You can dive deeper into Carol Dweck's work and find practical exercises to develop your growth mindset. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter. Every week, I break down the best ideas from business and personal development books, giving you actionable insights you can apply immediately. Remember, growth isn't comfortable, but neither is staying stuck. Choose growth. Choose possibility. Choose to become. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next episode.